Joining me now, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben, good evening. Great to have you with us tonight. You have gone after the writer of that piece in USA Today, who said that the tweets had resurfaced, and we all know that they were digging for them, no doubt, the second he won the award. You said he should be fired, that writer. His name is Scott Gleason.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that they just sort of resurfaced, magically? He's just sitting there and boom, they sort of resurfaced in front of him? Or is it possible that this particular writer decided to resurface those tweets from when this kid was 15 years old? The fact that we now have a social justice warrior class that sits atop the nation's sort of social judiciary and determines who gets to win an award and who doesn't get to win an award. And then they dig back into everything you've possibly said on social media going back years earlier so that we can wreck your career or force an apology out of you. And this is supposed to make the world better is simply absurd. I don't know a lot of people who haven't changed their opinions since they were 14 years old or don't regret dumb stuff they said when they were 14 or 15 years old. So to take a kid who just won the peak trophy in college football and then search back to when he was 14 for something bad he said and then shame him over it, it's just despicable stuff.
Charles Cook wrote about it in National Review, and he said, if he had done an actual crime like shoplifting or joyriding or something, it would have been expunged from his record when he turned 18. But an off-color tweet or an unkind tweet is just, it's like whack-a-mole. If something good happens to somebody, there's people coming out with hammers to hit you on the head and knock you back down.
It's a disincentive to success. You see it with Kevin Hart as well. I mean, the minute that Kevin Hart finally achieves this lifelong dream, presumably, of hosting the Oscars, within 24 hours, he's forced to recant his hosting of the Oscars because of some old tweets that he put out back in 2010 in a comedy routine he did in 2011. The idea that you're making the world a purer, better place for investigating every single thing that a person put on a social media site back 10, 15 years ago is just absurd. It's making the world a much worse place, a much more paranoid place. And by the way, it's forcing people to shut up, which is not actually what we want. If we want people to give their honest opinions so that we can have good discussions and maybe dissuade them of those opinions, this isn't helping.
Do you think Kevin Hart should have pushed back and said, no, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry that I did that, but I still want to host the Oscars. I mean, I feel like, someone like him needs to push back against this and just point out how absurd the whole thing is.
Well, originally he did, right? I mean, his initial response was, I'm not going to apologize for something that I did 8, 9 years ago and from which I've progressed. And then he was forced to back down. I'm sure his agent called him and said, listen, you're going to start losing movie deals unless you do an abject apology and just get out of the spotlight as fast as humanly possible.